Hi Flosstube, my name is Laura and welcome to my channel, Loves Rubber Stamps and Needle Crafts. Today is, I have no idea, September 15th, Sunday the 15th. And I am back for Flosstube number 33. And it has been a while since my last video. I think I looked and I have not made a floss tube since the beginning of February. That is crazy to me that this year has went by this fast and it's already the middle of September. So I have notes because I have a lot to share since it has been so long since my last video. Kind of just really quickly why it's been so long. So in February, I started having some problems with my hand. I have carpal tunnel, so my hand goes numb. So I wasn't really stitching too much. And then in March, we sent our lab to doggy training school. He was gone for a month. And when he was gone, it was just depressing, I guess. So I kind of lost my stitching bug. So I didn't really stitch for a couple months. And then when he got back, it just seems like it's been one thing after another. He hurt his leg when he first got back. We thought he tore his CCL and was going to need surgery. So he was on activity restriction. Took 3 months to get him a surgery consult. And then they decided at that time he wasn't limping anymore and was doing okay. So we held off on the surgery until he really needs it. During that time, my other dog, Teddy, got like a really large lump that appeared on his leg really quickly. And the doctors thought initially that it was mast cell cancer. So they had him taking Benadryl and all of that until they could get him into surgery. It ended up being a cyst that he was licking, and it just got so angry from his licking it that it grew really, really quickly. So he had surgery for that. That's all removed and he's fine. In fact, it's going to be his 13th birthday next month. So that's exciting. And let's see what else happened. Oh yeah, the big news. So in the spring, early summer, we had tons of rain constantly. And it flooded our basement. We had water coming in our basement for 3 weeks straight through the concrete. And it wasn't even coming up through it was like around the sump pumps, not even. And then my husband tried to reroute it and ended up flooding the basement, and it got into my craft room. So I did lose some stuff from my craft room, which is why I'm upstairs, because it's a disaster down there currently, because everything's in boxes and piled everywhere. So now I have to slowly go through and sort everything out. Luckily, I only lost a few like ribbons and trims and some books that I had in a box that was by my bookshelves. So nothing major. My WIPS were fine. All my patterns were fine. My fabrics, everything, all of that. So I got really lucky there. What else? I've been training at work, so I haven't got a stitch at work. I just finished training a week ago. So I've been training nonstop since February. So that's kind of why it's been so long. Just seems like one thing after another. So without any further ado, now that things are settling down, I have been stitching again, so I have a lot to show you. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing I'm going to do is share some FFOs because I got a wild hair today and a wild gray hair, if you can see, not crazy. That's why I wear my hair up all the time, to hide all my grays. It's ridiculous. Anyway. So while my husband was sleeping, because he had to work night shift today, I had to be quiet, so couldn't do any housework, darn. And so I went down to my craft room and just had a finishing bug. And because it's such a disaster down there, I knew they were there were only certain things I was going to be able to finish because I have to go through my fabrics because it's all over the place. But I had some frames for a couple things, so I framed some pieces and I finished another special piece. So we'll go ahead and start with my FFOs. The first one I'm going to share with you is a new start and a finish since my last Flosstube. This one's not completely FFO'd because I am waiting for the trim, but it's close enough that I'll still share it right now. But this one is Crocette A Go-Go's Christmas card. And that's what the pattern looks like. And this one I finished into a tart pan. So let me come up closer. So I'm just waiting for the Chanel trim to come in. I thought I might have some, but I couldn't find it if I do. So I just ordered some sizzle from Lady.Crates, and it should be close to the red color in the flowers and the birds. I do have notes, so if I look down, I apologize. So this one I stitched on 36 count opal linen from Be Stitch Me called One More Reproduction, and you can see the sparkle there. And I used Vanna Pfeiffer's tart pan tutorial on her blog to finish this. She makes it really easy to follow along and do it. There were a couple changes that I did. So I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I added beads to the center of the flowers, just gold beads. And I added little black beads for the cardinal's eyes. This is stitched with all the called for DMC floss. And the only other thing I did was right here, this leaf, that wasn't there. I just felt like it was a little lopsided circle, so I wanted a little more symmetrical around. So I just charted a leaf and kind of basted off the ones that were here and stitched a leaf there because I thought it needed a little bit more something to be a little bit more circular. So that is that finish. And then I'll take a picture, a little video once I get the trim in and show you when it's completely finished. Okay, and then the next one I just finished this today. I've had this frame forever, and this piece I had finished clear back in 2019. So it's been in my under the bed box for that long, 5 years. Is that 5 years? Holy cow. So this is my Playful Pumpkins. And it was charted by, who is it charted by? Elizabeth Spurlock, I believe. And Bernadette Deming was the artist. But I framed it myself. I bought the frame off Etsy. I did take the glass out, so it's framed with no glass. So this one was stitched on 32 count Beach Walk from Under the Sea Fabrics, using all the called for DMC. And if you like this pattern, it's in the 2014 Cross Stitch and Needlework Keepsakes calendar. You can sometimes find them on eBay. I'll come up a little closer. So the frame is kind of a black distress frame. I liked the edge here because it reminded me kind of the floor. I don't think it turned out too bad. This is only the second piece I've ever framed myself, so not too shabby. There's that one. I really like how that one came out. And then the other piece that I framed today is not a finish by me, but a finish by my mom. And she's gonna die when she sees this because I think I've had this one for 3 or 4 years now. Anyway, I framed Mom's Edna. So Edna goes to brunch, all framed. It's in a white distressed frame. And this was stitched by my mom on 14 count Celeste color and cotton fabric. And she used all the called for floss. I think it's the 14 count or 16 count. Can't remember. Anyway. Here's that. Come up closer. So I took the picture of the real Edna with her little orange on our deck and won Lindy Stitches contest, and she took my picture and charted it into this really cute pattern. I've stitched it too, but look, Ma, all framed. Now this frame is one that I got at Hobby Lobby, so it's just the kind that stands up like this. So Mom, if you want to hang it from your wall, we'll have to buy a thing because it just stands. So I did get a second frame just like this one because I made an 8x10 of the real picture of Edna that I'm gonna frame too, but I gotta figure out where I stuck it. So, but Mom doesn't know that I finished that today, so surprise. She'll be happy. She's been bugging me. Actually, she's been really patient because I've had her couple pieces. I've had 2 pieces of hers for several years, waiting for me to get in my finishing mood and just finish them. So the other finish that I did today, so I did 3 finishes. I did those 2 frame pieces, and then I did this one. And this is also by my mom. And this is Miss Peepers by Little House Needleworks. And Mom stitched this. I think she stitched this for our very first retreat we were gonna go to. No, maybe our 3rd retreat. It was our 3rd retreat we were gonna go to, and she'd stitched it for her smalls exchange, but it ended up being too big of a finish. So she had to stitch something else. So I've had it ever since then. So probably 5 years waiting for me to finish it. So look, Ma, it's done too. Yeah, don't wait for me to finish stuff because it's a long time. Oh, let's see. So Mom stitched this on, I think it was a picture of this plus Wren or something similar. It's like I think a 16 count. So I just backed it on some fabric that Mom found at Goodwill that was the perfect color to match her feathers. And I bought this birdhouse on, I believe it was Etsy. It was a store that sold these in a 3-pack. You got a really small one, this is the medium one, and there's a bigger one. And then this little home sweet home sign I found in the miniatures, like dollhouse miniatures at Hobby Lobby. So coming closer. So I thought it was really cute. And look, Mom, all your stitching's finished. Yay! So Mom will be excited about that. And the other finish that I did since my last video was for, we went to the Farmgirl Gathering Retreat in May in Amana. It was my mom, my sister Lindsay, and then we surprised my mom because my sister Leah got into the retreat and Mom didn't know about it. And my sister Leah lives in Florida, so she flew in. We didn't tell my mom that she was coming. And I'll share a hilarious video here in a second of when we surprised Mom. Leah was hiding in the backseat of my car, and when I picked Mom up to go over to Amana, I told her I picked up a hitchhiker and Leah popped out, so I'll share that video in a second. It's really cute, but I was going to share really quickly the finish that I did for the Smalls Exchange. It was from the Just Cross Stitch magazine April of 2022 issue, and it's called Blooming Circle, and I did it with pink flowers, and I finished it in a little pedestal dish that has the little decorative scalloped edge around the little dish for you to put your scissors around. So I will insert a couple pictures of my finish here. And then I'll go ahead and share pictures of what my mom and my two sisters stitched for their Smalls Exchange gifts. So the first one will be what my sister Leah, she's the one from Florida, the one that she stitched for her retreat piece. And then here's the one that my sister Lindsay stitched. I think she finished this on a little box. And then here's the one that my mom finished. It was made into a super cute little pillow by my sister Lindsay. And it's a Brenda Gervais pattern from Jelly Beans Jubilee, Jelly Bean Jubilee, I think, was the booklet. Okay, and then now I'll insert that picture of, or insert that video of our surprise for Mom as we went to retreat.
Retreat time! Yeah, I think I got everything. Oh,
Put your foot in the car.
yeah.
Usually you like to shut your foot in the door.
Exactly. I don't want to do that today. Okay, thank you.
Get my nav. Probably stop and get gas.
Okay, I probably need to get a drink.
Let's see.
Retreat time. Yay. Wow, it seemed like it was the last week or so. It was like forever to get here. Especially because we were having storms.
Oh, I forgot to tell you.
What?
I picked up a hitchhiker.
Ooh. And you're stuck with me always. Oh. Just stay in the car. I'll come over here. Okay. Hi. I love you. You too. Oh, all right, get your foot in the car and close it. Okay.
Surprise!
Oh, wow. This is awesome. How did you get here? When did you get here, I should say?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Wow.
Here's your photo. We were recording you. Okay, and since my last video, I've also had some finishes that I haven't FFO'd yet. Actually, before I do that, I did want to share really quickly. I need to pay attention to my notes. For the Smalls Exchange at the retreat, I got a really cute, it's like wonderfully made pillow for my gift that I got back. So it came with this really cute card that's a quilt card, and it actually has the pattern for the quilt on the back. And this was Shakespeare's Peddler's design, Most Wonderful, and it was stitched by Lisa Hilberg on 40 count vintage white with all the called for threads with Lady Chanel for the trim. And look at this. Isn't that adorable? Her stitches are so pretty, and like this is so stuffed. Like I wish I could stuff my pillows this well I mean, it's like hard. There's like no slippage or anything. And it's like perfectly finished. She's a wonderful finisher. These are buttons, like wood buttons. So I love this. They look really cute out for winter. But she did an amazing job. Love it. Okay, and then at the end of my video, I will insert pictures from the retreat of all of the smalls for the smalls exchange, because we put them all on a table and then we get to go through and take pictures. So I'll put that at the end so you can watch the pictures of all the smalls that were made for the exchange, the retreat. Okay, and I also had some finishes since my last video that aren't FFO'd yet, but they are finished. So I'll go ahead and share those. The first one, I don't have a board up here. I'm in my at my kitchen table, my dining room table. So I don't have my board up here. So the first one is Mill Hill Kit Moonlit Owl. And I was working on this one in my last video. I just started it. So I'll insert a picture of where I was when you saw it last here. And I was able to get it done. So here's the finish. I just stitched it on the perforated paper and used all the kit stuff. And this is just in my magnetic frame. So I got these from Etsy. You don't really want to pull it. You want to kind of slide, but it's a little difficult with it's finished. There we go. It just sits in there and has magnets. It's really strong and it keeps your, like, it's really tight. So it really helps if you stitch a lot of mill hills to get one of these little magnetic frames from Etsy. So was that. Okay, and then my other finish that I had was, so I finished Moonlit Owl in March 3rd. And then my next finish was one that I was also working on for my medium. I think this, no, I considered this my small category. Kind of small medium, I'm going to call it. So this one is Milady's Strawberries from Little House Needleworks. Sorry for the glare. There is a free pattern that I want to stitch to kind of go with this from Diane Williams too. I think it was on her blog, maybe, from Little House Needleworks. It's called Sweet Little Berries. It's a free chart. It says, deep in the field under bright sunny skies grow sweet little berries for jellies and pies. So I thought that would be cute to go with the Milady Strawberries. So I still want to stitch that, but so I consider this kind of a WIPS still, since I'm kind of going to stitch those, even though I haven't started it. I'll put that back later. Anyway, you want to see my finish. So what did I stitch this on? So here is my finish. So I stitched this on 36 count Wren from Picture This Plus, and I used some of the called for floss and then some I substituted for color and cotton floss. I tried to keep it as close to the original pattern as I could. I did do the French knots for the little strawberry seeds. Let's see if I can. I've only done French knots a few times. There's a couple that look pretty decent, and there's some that are a little wonky, but I tried. Not gonna learn unless you do them, right? And it's just for me, so. I really like how that turned out. And I thought about finishing this kind of as a flat fold maybe, because it's pretty big for a pillow. So I thought if I did it as a, or maybe I could get like a little white frame and frame it and have it sitting and then have the little pillow with it, or in a bowl by it, or do it as a mounted flat fold and maybe have the pillow by it. That's my thoughts anyway. So okay, and then since that was in a piece that I would work on one of my 2 days off in my work rotation, now that it's finished, I thought I would swap in one of my older kind of small to medium pieces. So the one I'm going to be working on in its place now, I believe, is going to be Winter by Priscilla Blaine and Hands On Design. This is from the Just Cross Stitch issue, February 2016. And I'll just quickly show you where I'll be starting from. I don't have much done, just kind of about a quarter of it. I think it should go pretty quickly once you get the top half done, because there's really not much on the bottom other than the house and snowman and then some swirls. So I thought I would, in my days off rotations, try to work on my oldest projects and just swap them in as I finish, and then try to knock out these older ones that have been hanging around for far too long. Oh, and this one is on, I think it's a 32 count slate by Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie. And then my last finish is Silver Needle Squirrels by the Blue Flower. And it was an exclusive for the Silver Needle. And I'm done with the big pillow part. So here is that finish. And I didn't have all the threads, so I did substitute a few with stuff from my stash, like color and cotton. I did use some of the called for and subbed ones that I thought were close with ones I had in my stash. So I'll probably try to finish just like the pillow. If you see in the pattern, it has this little thread button. I had ordered and found on Etsy a really cute glass acorn or ceramic acorn flat, button that I'm going to use. And the other thing I plan on doing is, I don't know if I'll just pick one of these squirrels that have the needle, or I was thinking her other pattern called Stitching Squirrels I have. And you see that there's a couple little squirrels with their little embroidery. I thought I would stitch one of these squirrels because they do match. They're wearing the same hats and everything. But these ones have the needles, and then these ones have some embroidery. So I thought about just stitching the squirrel with its little embroidery hoop and making a scissor fob that will match the little pin pillow when it's finished. So I still got to stitch that part. But that's my plan for that one. And this is stitched on 36 count linen and sandcastle. It was one of my color and cotton fabric of the months from April of 2023. Okay, so that is it for my finishes. So for me, that's pretty good, but it has been like, what, 7 months? So anyway, let's see, now we'll go ahead and go through my WIPs that I've been working on. So I do have several too. The first one is Little House Needleworks Spring ABCs. And if I can find a picture of where I was at last time, I'll insert it. I haven't worked on this one a whole ton, just a few times at work when it was easy to grab. So basically I've just been working on this tree and the little nest area. So not a ton more, but this is where I'm at currently. So I did add some ladybug in there, the pink, and in those flowers too. So, and the hearts. I added that color, the purple, and all the other colors I believe are called for. I did switch, I think this is hickory sticks and it's supposed to be a different color. But that's where I am on that one. I've already stitched the winter. I still have to do fall and spring. And I almost have the winter one fully FFO'd. I just have to put some ties on the back, and then that one should be done too, so I'll hopefully be able to share that with you soon. And then the next one I've been working on, so I'm just finishing up my 3 days off, and this 3 days off was eligible for a new start if I was feeling like starting something. I've only started a couple new things this year so far, and crud, I forgot one. Thinking of that. And I'll have to go get it. Anyway, if I don't feel like having a new start, I'll just pick a WIP that's calling to me and figure I'd just work on that. Try to get some of these moving along too. So this is the one I've been working on this weekend, called Harvest Keeper by Plum Street Samplers. I think this one's so pretty. So I was like wanting to work on something fallish. Not really Halloween yet, but fall. So I put on my warm pumpkin drizzle Scentsy bar and have been stitching away with my fall sniffs. So I'll insert a picture of where I was at here. My lab sheds, so there's like black fur on this. And here is where I've gotten to so far. I still have the rest of the night to work on it though. So I've just been working on the border. So you can see that I finished the border around, and then now I'm just putting in the motifs around the border. So I'm hoping that I can get the border finished so I can start working on the inside fun stuff. And my border all matched up, so that was good. This one I'm stitching on a 40 count sampler gold from Color and Cotton. It's a little bit warmer than it looks there. That's more accurate coloring there. It gets washed out by the light, but that's pretty accurate there. It's pretty rich gold color, which I thought was really pretty with the threads. It's all the called for threads. So I'll continue working on that. Like I said, I'm hoping to get the border finished tonight. We'll see. Okay, my next WIP that I've worked on is in my large rotation, and it's Teresa Wentzler's The Fortunate Traveler. So I'll insert a picture of what it will look like finished here. Then I'll insert a picture of where I was at the last time you saw it. Okay, and I'm sorry I don't have my board, so this might be a little not very nice to look at, but this fabric is a 28 count cream Cashel, and that's where I'm at. So just been working on the border and getting the webbing done. So all that's left on This side here to about the middle is just to do the bead, or I have another lighter webbing to go into the second part of the webbing, and then the beads. And I just finished the green part, so now I can do the webbing over here and put in the flowers, and then I can do the bottom half of that border. So this is the called for fabric. Sorry that my dog is whining. He constantly wants to go outside and play BALL. He thinks if you're awake and upstairs, you should be outside doing that. And sometimes he only wants you to throw it like 4 times, and then sometimes 1 time, and then he's ready to come back in. But then 10 minutes later, he wants back out to do it again. So anyway, my next WIP is what I consider my medium piece, and sorry, this isn't going to be ironed. It is Temperature Tree by Stitching Mommy, and I'll insert a picture of what it will roughly look like finished here. And then I'll insert a picture of where I was at last time you saw it. And here's where I'm at now. So basically, since last time, I put in the August branch and the leaf. So again, it was very similar colors to June and July. So I'm stitching this on a 40 count River Rock from Color and Cotton. And I'm stitching this for the year of our 25th wedding anniversary, which is February 14th. So I put blending filament in with the leaf for the 14th to make it a little special. So our 25th wedding anniversary was 2 years ago. Yeah. So I have all the high temperatures wrote down for that year so I can finish this. So I got 4 months left. September, October, November, December. So hopefully that'll be a finish here soon. Okay, my next WIP is a new start since my last video. And this is the Lola Crow Deadly Aquarium Cell. I'll insert a picture. It just completed, so if you haven't seen it, I'll insert a picture of what it looks like finished. And I am nowhere close to being finished. In fact, I'm still working on the frame. This is being stitched on a 40 count linen from Seraphim Fabrics called Jack Frost. And that's all I have for my frame. So let me kind of fold this. So maybe this is kind of a green. I thought it looked kind of green and kind of moldy, toxic. I don't know if that's what they were going for when they named it Jack Frost, but it kind of looked like a poisonous green to me. So that's why I'm using it for my Deadly Aquarium. So I knew I wasn't going to keep up with that one. So I just kind of stitch on it here and there, but I wanted to get it started, so. Okay, then my next one I worked on, this is the one I worked on when we went to retreat. This is my Plum Street Samplers Always Remember. And if I can find a picture of where I was at before, I'll insert it. And here's where I'm at currently. This one I'm stitching on a 32 count linen and Incoming Storm from Under the Sea Fabrics. And basically I did his tail feather, kind of worked on some flowers, and then just kept working on the house. It was for retreat, so you know you don't get a whole lot stitched at retreats, but I didn't do his eyes because I'm going to use beads for his eyes. But I really like it on this fabric. It looks really good. I like stitching this one. It's really nice. Poppies always remind me of my grandpa, because every year if he ever went to a store and saw a veteran selling the paper poppies, he'd always buy everybody one. So my next WIP is one of my full coverages. So after I got done with the dog double shelf, I picked my next full coverage to work to my goal, and it was my New Girl 3. So I'll insert a picture of where I was at in the last video here. And I'll insert a picture of what she'll look like completely finished. And here's where I got to. So I went ahead and kept working on her until I got to 14% from Pattern Keeper. So I was able to finish this page out and then started working in the next page over. So still just working in her hair. When I get over here to right here, this is where her eye kind of starts. So that'll be exciting. But I'm trying to force myself to work in hair because most of the pattern is going to be hair and background with just a little bit of fun with the face. So I'm trying to do some of the more boring part first. So I have 7 pages fully complete on this now. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 7 out of like 70. So I have a long way to go. Oh, ruby hair. Gosh, it's everywhere. All right, and then pull my own hair. And then the one that I have been working on the nights that I work for my after work project when I get home in the evenings. Right now is my King Coda, and I'll insert a picture of where I was at the last time you saw it. And this rotation, so this is a supersized max color version of King Coda Storyteller by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth. Oh, I forgot to say, this one is called New Girl 3 by Beck Winnell, charted by Heaven and Earth, and both of these are being stitched on 28 count Lugana 1/1 full cross. King Coda, I was at 4.26% or something like that. So my goal is more than that. Anyway, my goal is to stitch it to 5.5%. I think I'm going to stitch this one to 0.5%, but I wanted to do, because I hadn't worked on this for so long, I wanted to do a little bit extra. But because it's a supersized max color, 0.5% is a lot of stitches. So, I mean, it ends up being still about 3,500 or 4,000 stitches. So, here's where I'm at currently. So, I've almost got a page finish here, not quite. This little green spot is the corner of the cushion. So like the page is literally like right here. Then I'll have a page finish, but I currently am at like 5.26% or something like that. So I still will probably finish this page and then have to start working on some of the other one. Pretty much this whole row, like clear over, is going to be almost solid black, so it's a little boring, but it does go a little bit faster. But I have 6 full pages across on the top, and this will be page number 7. when I get it finished. That is that. And then let me pause you quick and go grab the other WIP that I forgot to grab that was a new start. Hang on. All right, sorry about that. So I went and got my other WIP. So this was a new start too. This is the one I started, I think, for March or February. No, it was February's. It's in the Keepsake 2021 issue of the Cross Stitch calendar. And the one I'm doing is called Celebrate the Season. It's a little polar bear skating. And artwork is by Janet Stever, and Barbara Anna was the one that charted it for cross stitch. And this one I'm stitching on a 28 count Gothic from Picture This Plus. And I got his little scarf. Started. So I think it's gonna look pretty on that fabric. So that is all of my WIPs since my last video. So like I said, there were probably about 2 or 3 months that I didn't even stitch at all. So or stitch very much. So not a whole ton of progress on stuff, but I did get, you know, a few finishes and things, so that's good. Just a couple more things really quickly. So I thought before I talked about the retreat a little bit, I would do a couple of shout outs. So lately, well, really this weekend, I've been watching Katie. Her channel name is Katie, but she also is known as Red Stitchery. She has several Flosstube videos out. One thing that she does that's really cool is she created a cross stitch game that is a dice game to help her get progress on her WIPs that she wants to try to get finished. So she does have an Etsy store called Cross Stitch Game, and she has downloads of her game in there for you to check out. And she also has a video on her Flosstube all about her game and how she does it. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then the other channel I've been watching is, her channel name is Lizzy, Lizzy, and she goes by Lizzie's Purple Cloud. She has probably about 18 videos out now, I think. But she has a lot of super cute projects, and she has some special videos where she shares like 40 free patterns for different themes. So she's got a few different videos sharing like 20 to 40 patterns that she's found that are free. And she goes through and shares those. She has in her video descriptions links to all the patterns so you can find them yourself if you want to stitch them. I know she just did one for summer. She did one for, I think, Christmas and winter, for Christmas in July. And then she just did one for samplers in September. So I'll put links to their channels in my description if you want to check them out. And then really quickly, I was just going to share, so my mom and, like I said, my 2 sisters went to the Cross Stitch Retreat in Amana in May, and the designer was Kimberly Nugent with Samplers Not Forgotten. And Kimberly is adorable and very nice lady. I'll insert a couple pictures here of my mom, my 2 sisters, and myself with Kimberly. Some we were being silly, and then we also took one with us 5, and then with Michelle, Farmgirl. So I'll insert a couple of pictures there. And the kit that we got, I haven't started mine yet, but this kit is gorgeous. It's called Peony Pocket. And it also comes with accessories. So it came with stuff to do a biscornu, and then a scissor fob. But this is like opens up and it's like a pocket. So she gave us like the material, the backing, or the fabric to do your pillow, all the floss. We got a waxer. What are those scissors that are fancy from France? Sajou. Yeah, we got a pair of Sajou scissors and a little scissor pocket. And so just a gorgeous kit. I'll insert a couple of pictures of the model here for you. The last thing I'm going to share is, I'm not going to share any haul or anything because it's way too much and I can't remember what I've showed you, what I haven't, and it's basically all over the place. So no real haul, but I did want to share this sampler, since it's sampler September. So Mom had gotten this as in one of her exchange gifts, and she wasn't going to use it, so she gave it to me. But I thought this would be handy for keeping track if you haven't seen this. If you do samplers, it's a book called Sampler Stitching by Ardith Design, and it's a notebook where you can log your samplers. And it's got, there's tons of pages, like there's some blank pages at the end for notes. But you can put the title, designer, project bag or storage place, sampler era and theme, the type, reproduction or original, dimensions, specialty stitches, your floss, fibers, fabric, important details, how joyful it was to stitch. It has a spot to put a 4x6 picture of your sampler when you're done, and then at the very bottom it says, when I die, I bequeath this sampler to, and you can write who you want to get your sampler. So I just thought it's a very nice book. It's got a lot of pages in it. So if you're into stitching samplers and you haven't seen this, check out Ardith Design. That's who made this book. And then the last thing I want to share is this really cute project bag that my sister Lindsay made me. It's very pretty. I love sunflowers, so she made this bag with sunflowers. And she got she can do machine embroidery, so she embroidered a really pretty sunflower on the back. So I thought that was really pretty. And that's all I'm going to share today, I think. So hopefully, now that I've got this one made, I was kind of putting it off just because there was just so much and I had no idea what I've stitched out, like, you know, so sometimes if you wait too long, like, it just seems overwhelming with the amount of stuff you have. So now that I'm caught up again and starting new, hopefully I'll be able to come back. And it'll probably be, well, if I get a lot of stitching, I'll probably try to do one the end of September with what I've stitched on the last couple weeks, and then probably go try to do at least monthly videos without taking too long between them. And I do need to try to get a Stitch With Me video made. I haven't made one of those since I started that Stitch With Me project, so that's my goal. Anyway, that's all I have for you. So I really appreciate all of you that are returning to watch my videos and any new people that are here. I hope you found something to be inspired by, and maybe your wish list grew a little bit longer. So until next time, happy stitching everybody, and thanks for watching.